In a free market, you get more for yourself by serving your fellow man. You don't have to care about him, just serve him. And ask yourself, how much would get done if it all depended on human love and kindness? I feel sorry for New Yorkers in terms of beef. If it all depended on human love and kindness, I doubt whether you would have one cow in New York.
Probably right. Still, I don't like to admit that self-interest or greed is the motivator. And we certainly don't like to teach that to our kids. But what if we did? This school was once considered New York City's worst, lowest reading scores in the state. Kids assaulted teachers more than once a week. One teacher's hair was set on fire. It was around then that Steve Mariotti left his import-export business to teach here.
What's 40 plus 20?
At first, he says, he was a horrible teacher.
I lost control of my classes. A kid got me in a headlock, rubbing my head.
In desperation, he asked the kids, "Why are you doing this to me?"
One kid said, "We did it because we just can't stand you. You are boring." And I said, "Well, was there ever a time when I was a good teacher, when I touched you or taught you something that had any value?" And the same young man said, "The only time you really had value to me was when you told us about your import-export business and how you bring in ladies' shoes at $5 from Agra, India, add $1 on for insurance and freight, take it down to the Lower East Side and sell them for $7, and your income statement would be $126,000.
Oh, he'd remembered all this from the beginning of the term?
He remembered. And here was a guy that had been defined as brain damaged, emotionally upset. People were afraid of him. And he'd recreated, in total, a Harvard Business School income statement. Does anybody have any ideas for a small business that you could start right now as a kid?
Mariotti changed his way of teaching.
And you can trade with anybody in the room. Now,
he started talking about making money, and suddenly the kids were different.
When you hear people complaining, that's where the big money is.
They're suddenly interested in learning?
They're suddenly interested in learning, and they come to life in the classroom.
His teaching changed lives.
You found my gotcha jersey?
In high school, Frank Alameda was floundering until he took Mariotti's course. He graduated and went on to open this sporting goods store. Now he employs 6 people from his old neighborhood.
I'm probably the biggest thing that happened to my family because I got people looking up to me, people that I grew up with, just will pat me on my back, will say, "Frank, keep it up. You're the only guy that got something going for you out here."
That's $1, my friend.
Howard Stubbs grew up in a poor section of the Bronx. Mariotti's course led him to rent a hot dog stand. Now he owns 5 and makes as much as $3,000 a week.
You do get a lot of respect. You know, people look at you and say, "Wow, every day that guy, he's out there, he's making his money, he's doing his thing," you know?
Will there be better days?
Jimmy McNeil has a music business that makes more than $1 million a year. He says he has this because of what Steve Mariotti taught him in high school.
Children that are born into poverty are fascinated by capitalism and by ownership and by markets.
Visualizing from the top.
We think of capitalism as something the privileged practice, but in some ways capitalism is the big equalizer. Money doesn't care if you're black or white or green.
Have a good day.
It's the people at the bottom who need capitalism most, who need the system in which everyone is free to trade and free to pursue money, because capitalism opens up opportunities to climb up that economic ladder.
Somewhere along the lines, Bill Gates started off with 0. Somewhere along the lines, Quincy Jones started off with 0.
My rule for kids,
it's not a color thing. You know, it's an opportunity thing.